with anybody's not in favor of this being recorded, just show us the emojis if that's not okay. Otherwise, we will go ahead. Emilia, welcome. And thank you, Cumbia. Cumbia is the magic behind the scenes from our communications department, and I'm always appreciative of her support. Can we go back to the first slide, please? You are on this call because you are one of our 1,474 members. That's our latest number, 1,474. This is a national network of environmental and conservation advocates that are Latino or Hispanic. And we have this kind of virtual membership encuentros every month on the second Tuesday of the month. This month in particular, we are celebrating, of course, Pride Month. Last Sunday, June 8th, we celebrated World Ocean Day. Pretty soon, coming up on the 15th, will be Father's Day. And very important, June 19th is Juneteenth as a celebration and symbolism of the end of slavery in the United States. And one of my favorite things to celebrate in June is, of course, the summer solstice, the longest day of the year and the beginning of summer. So lots to be happy about, lots to celebrate and enjoy in community. My name is Francisco Paco Oyevides. I'm the membership engagement coordinator at Green Latinos since last May. I'm a marine biologist and born in Mexico City, Mexico, but I'm greeting you from North Central Ohio on the end of the spring days and excited for summer. Now we're all experiencing very unprecedented times with the current administration. Our communities are frankly under siege. Our families, we are seeing them being torn apart by ICE raids. There's images of tanks in the streets. Things are quite surreal. This unprecedented times, there's even the unconstitutional deployment of National Guard and Marines to manage lawful protests in Los Angeles. This is too much and frankly overwhelming, at least to me. And we want to tell you that Green Latinos is here for you. We stand in solidarity with folks in California. And the work that each of you is doing is more important now more than ever. It may be geared at safe and healthy, equitable benefits for nature, maybe advocating for climate justice in your community. Or you may be an advocate for having a rightful seat at the table. Whatever you're doing, and as we brace for the social, political, and economic whirlwind, we promise you this: Green Latinos is here for you. We're linked on an arm. And we simply can't stand anymore as witnesses. We want to support action that has been taken against authoritarianism and the police state. So let's go to the next slide, please. This is roughly our agenda. If folks don't mind putting in the chat box where they're calling from, so we have an idea a little bit. Also with your emojis, your toolbar of emojis, if you can show if you joined as a member in the last 60 days, so that we can recognize and welcome you. I'll pause for that a little bit. I don't see Mark here. No. Oh, Lynette, Los Angeles. Oh, excellent. So we are here to make connections. So we're definitely going to benefit a lot from it. And we are one of the companies, the West Coast represented. Wow. Everybody forgot. Good job. I'm the only one from Ohio this time. Excellent. Well, thank you. Thank you all for making the time. I'm going to provide a little bit of context of how Green Latinos came about, but we're also going to have a member spotlight, which we feature every 2-3 months. In Deandra, that's going to speak a little bit more about her organization. I will walk you through some of our membership benefits and hubs, and people can share of any upcoming events they have, and I will answer any questions. So this is an intimate setting, and feel free to use the chat box, raise your hand. If I, oh, Amelia, excellent. Okay, the East is now represented. Excellent, perfect. If I can ask people to come off and turn on their camera so we can take a screenshot of the group. That's it. Pero, if you can come off camera, we'll just take a quick. Okay, Quimby, you ready? Everybody, did Jordan leave? Hold on. Okay, let's go. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Thank you all. Okay, and let's go to the next slide, please. I don't see the slide because I'm having the image of the participants. Oh, thank you. So Green Latinos was founded in 2009. We just celebrated our quinceañera about a year or almost 2 years ago. And it was born out of the brainchild of Mark Magaña. Mark Magaña is the first Latino to serve as senior staff to the White House and in congressional leadership. He was a special assistant to President Clinton in the House of Legislative Affairs and senior policy advisor to the Democratic Caucus. Back then, the Democratic Caucus Vice Chair, Robert Menendez. He was an early supporter of Senator Obama's presidential campaign, and Mark founded the National Latinos for Obama. So he saw an opportunity for us to not work in silos and to convene. He's originally from LA and lived for many years in Washington, D.C., I think close to 30 years. And then a few years ago, he moved with his family to Boulder with his wife and children. And he serves on 2 boards, the League of Conservation Voters, Green 2.0, and the Children's Environmental Health Network. So I don't believe Mark is here right now. He usually gives us his welcome speech about how he envisioned Green Latinos to be. It has definitely grown substantially in membership, but as we go through the next few slides, you'll see what our theory of change is and how we're doing. If anybody wants to connect, Vero. Okay, so yes, we'll have some time, and yes, please feel free to use the chat function is precisely for that. Excellent. And I'll ask Jacqueline and Vero later for each of you to maybe provide 2 or 3 minutes of what you're doing in your organization. So we'll have time for that. Let's go to the next slide, where we welcome Deandra Maricet Esparza. I don't know why we will have Maricet there, but he's a Mexican-American Spanglish poet, globally recognized work, intersectional environmentalist that has reshaped environmental narratives and amplified work of hundreds of grassroots environmental justice efforts. Deandra's work was shaped by cultural arts and history, has reached millions of people, offering intergenerational tools that position storytelling as a powerful force for environmental connection and advocacy. Poetry is Deandra's vessel to synthesize her cross-cultural upbringing, her Southern roots, and the countless stories of resilience she has studied across social movements. Her work aims to offer unifying and empowering pathways towards narrative healing. And in meeting Kendra, I was happy to note that both her and I are fellow Texas A&M alumni, but she's now in LA, so she's going to talk to us a little bit more about what intersectional environmentalist is, and take it away. Yeah.
Hey everyone, so great to be here and to chat with all of you. Also excited to just engage back and forth since I know we're a little bit of a more intimate crew. I'm curious, just by a show of hands, I think that Zoom has a fun like hand feature if you're off camera. Who has heard of intersectional environmentalists before? Yeah, a few people. Okay, cool. Yeah, good to know. Amazing. Well, I can share a little bit about my work and kind of some things that have been on my mind recently here in LA. But just initially, I'll probably share a number of links in the chat just in case folks are interested. I am a writer. I do identify as a narrative healer with all of the work that I do over at IE. And I have fun writing my own pieces from time to time. I did launch a Substack where you can sign up to kind of get my thoughts and musings and cultural research from time to time. So I just plugged my Substack there in the chat. So that's just a little bit about me. But for those of you who are less familiar with IE or Intersectional Environmentalist, we're an eco-media organization. We focus on art education and storytelling to really promote climate justice and thriving futures for all. Creative communications and digital advocacy has pretty much been the name of our game since day one. And I think that we've really thrived with telling youth and community-led stories in the climate movement, truly through an intersectional lens. And I think that it's for me personally, it's been a journey of a very grassroots approach where I was wearing many, many hats to still feeling somewhat grassroots now, but being able to grow IE to the point where we do have a really beautiful community, a beautiful support network, and I don't have to wear as many hats now. So that is nice. I'm the founding executive director, so I spent the first few years helping us set up a lot of the infrastructure for the organization, and now I am the director of impact. So I oversee all of our programs, our consulting, our speaking engagements, and all of the activations and community initiatives that we support. And recently, eco media, I think identifying as an eco media organization is a little bit new for us. And the reason why we did that is because we realized we wanted to create things that really transcend Instagram, really transcend social media. And so now we're investing in a lot of longer form content that can really bring community together. And so we hosted a film screening recently that I can share with you in honor of Black Birders Week. So celebrating Black naturalists and Black folks getting outside and birding. And we were able to produce the film that I just shared in the chat, How Birds Bring Us Back, which was, it's a 10-minute mini doc following the journey or following.
Ecosystem health. If there are no birds present in an area, probably the
yeah, if you do click it, it will start to pop off. So yeah, maybe save that one for later. But that was a really beautiful project. And it follows the journey of 3 Black naturalists in the SoCal area and their journeys with birding, and just reflecting on how a lot of outdoor activities sometimes are positioned in a very Western way and a very individualistic way. But it was a really fun, joyful, nourishing project that allowed us to explore how something like birding can actually deepen community bonds. So that was a really beautiful project, and we got to host a community screening at Debs Park here in LA, and are currently exploring more screenings that we can host. So I'm really excited about that. we are going to continue to promote really beautiful projects like this across all of our programs on IE's Substack. So I will plug that as well in case you would like to not only subscribe to our Substack, but also become part of the IE Impact Collective. It's a really accessible, like I think the lowest tier is like $7 or something, but it's a really accessible membership for donors that want to help us produce more eco media for all. And we do have lots of brand partners and things that give us all kinds of fun perks for our members. So that's one way that you can definitely get involved and support some of the work that we're doing. So yeah, that's a little bit about me and mostly my work at IE. Some of the things that I wanted to share today and talk about that I hope can be helpful in all the things that green Latinos are navigating right now. I am a poet. I'm definitely a storyteller. And so I wanted to share something a little nerdy that I think can be helpful. On my Substack, I recently wrote a piece about how poetry has like neurological effects on your brain and why our ancestors, why storytelling really is like the most ancestral form of education that we have, and how it was like even in some ways more optimal than the forms of education that we have now sometimes. And I just kind of took some notes. I took like an excerpt out of that piece that I wrote on my Substack because I think it's very pointed right now. And I wanted to call attention to how poetry and storytelling and just poetic language, so even thinking about like your favorite song or like music, poetry, there's a number of reasons why rhymey words or poetic storytelling helps communities embrace vulnerability. And there's a neurological reason for that. So because poetry and storytelling and music are often very repetitive and rhythmic, it creates a soothing neural effect in your brain that activates your brain's, basically like your brain's reward system. Like, so your brain, when you hear like repetition, your brain is going, ooh, I can anticipate what sounds and experiences are coming next. And that makes me feel good. And that makes me feel safe. And so you can use the rhythm of poetry and music to unlock that like safety mechanism in your brain. And there have been some MRI scanning methods that have proven that poetry stimulates areas of the brain that are associated with introspection and emotional regulation, which is really cool to think about. Like, usually when we think about engaging in difficult topics, we don't necessarily always think of emotional regulation. So how cool that when we tell stories as organizers or as artists, that we can use these like rhythmic ways of delivering in order to bring those two things together, right? That introspection that helps us grow as community members, but also that emotional regulation that makes that growth a little bit more accessible for people. So this is all maybe why in the past, maybe you've experienced feeling pretty safe doing some of your deepest thinking about hard topics, difficult topics like love or identity or friendships, just like all of our deepest universal struggles, while listening to or even writing lyrics that like flow really smoothly or easily, even if it's like music or things that like bring tears to your eyes, you still being able to like sit with those feelings a little bit more easily because of that rhythmic expression. And so that was one of the things that I kind of started studying a little bit more last year as a poet, which is really interesting. And one of the other things that I learned that I thought would be valuable, just because I know that artists are really entering the environmental justice chat in a way that at like to a heightened extent than ever before. And I think that is, I think it's important as organizers to understand their power and that impact. And one of the things that I think is a powerful result of that is something that's called cognitive reappraisal, or the ability to like reinterpret or reframe an emotional experience. And what artists do is they're really well known for pulling meaning out of society's most challenging experiences. So I'm sure you can imagine that there's going to be a lot of art coming out of what is happening in this moment in time to Latino communities and immigrant communities here in the US. And I think it's important as organizers and environmental justice advocates to understand those like neural impacts and those strategies for helping our communities heal. In my own writing, I'm often exploring really painful topics like colonization or patriarchy or loss of identity. And even though I am exploring those topics and exploring those topics on IE, you know, as well, the content we produce at IE and in my own writing is often noted as being quite tender, joyful even. And that is maybe odd in the face of such heavy topics. But I think we can only take some of the credit for that because it is really those like poetic delivery. It's like that poetic delivery that unlocks those things that we just talked about in the brain. So yeah, I wanted to share that because I think art plays such a powerful role in how we galvanize communities and mobilize community healing and resilience. And it's what I've been working on through my own writing, through the development of IE, the platform, for the past few years. And I think it's only going to be more needed in the years to come under our current administration. I'll share a couple links with you in the chat. Again, some of them will be YouTube. So if you open it right away, the sounds might start going off. So possibly save these for later. But I've got my Substack and a couple of poetry videos that I have shared recently. So there are those. Let's see. I want to make sure you have these as well. Yeah, okay. So thanks for letting me TED talk about the neurological impacts of poetry and poetic storytelling. I do think it's really important and relevant to all the works that you all might do. And I want to talk about one more thing before I pass it over to you all, just to hear from some of the folks on the call. The last thing that's really been on my mind lately as it relates to IE, as it relates to my writing, as it relates to just identifying as somebody with Southern roots, somebody who is Mexicana, Chicana, Mestiza, all the things. And that is really what it means to show up for community in revolutionary ways that are getting left behind right now. And what I mean by that is I guess I could say better. I went to a book release event just recently for Aja Monet. I don't know if there's any Aja Monet fans in the room. She's a really incredible poet. And she was able to synthesize something that's been on my mind really well, which is that there are a lot of people right now who are perfectly willing to run to the front lines of a protest, which is all fine and great. I was just at a protest yesterday myself here in LA. And that's powerful. And we don't like that can remain. But are you the person that can run to the front lines of a protest, but you can't like apologize to your mom? Right. So we're experiencing this this disconnect between what it means to like indulge in the idea of oneness to heal something in ourselves. And certainly it still has a positive impact. Like, yes, like go out to the protest, stay safe, go to the protest. And can you name 3 people right now that could cook you a meal if you didn't have any way of accessing food? Can you name 3 people that know for certain that you would cook them a meal if they suddenly didn't have resources. And so I think there's this really interesting, I think there's a lot of organizations right now that are maybe well positioned to engage in some of the like more aggressive community resilience narratives, tactics, strategies, like protesting and what's the word? I'm sorry, it's been a really long morning. Boycotting and like all these things that really require a lot of like angst and anger and frustration with the systems. And like that's all so valid and that's all powerful work. And there's also the community members that and the organizations and the teams that are like really nurturing narratives that are more suited for what it means to engage in restorative justice, what it means to help our communities heal, what it means to feed our communities, what it means to help our communities learn their history, right? Education. So kind of seeing these two different types of approaches working in tandem really beautifully together. And I think that we get in rough spots when we only focus on like one or the other. And right now, I think that the loud, angsty side of our collective movements is definitely having a super valid moment that deserves a lot of love and respect and affirmation. And I think that we can't let that discredit or dissuade or disincentivize the people who really know how to steward communal care, right? Because you might be ready to like yell at a cop at the front of a protest, but do you have the words to apologize to someone? Do you have the ability to even tell someone you love them, right? So it's kind of like that. We're existing in that duality. And I think that as organizers, it's important to not only steward stories, but also just like personally practice that balance. So if anyone's feeling overwhelmed right now by the ratata of the state of the world, I think just also giving yourself some permission to slow down and recognize the power of just extending a little care. Yeah. So yeah, I'd love to turn it over to y'all and just kind of check in on how y'all are doing. What has community care been looking like on your end? Yeah, Natalie, thank you.
Thanks, Deandra. I'm speaking because I might have to go in my office and I'll have you all on my camera and stuff, but just so that I can get some feelings out. Wanted to say hi. I am an environmental project manager at the Gateway Cities Council of Governments. I am in Paramount right now, where there were some protests over the weekend, if you all were following that. And my office is here. I work in Southeast Los Angeles. It's a community along the 710 freeway, which has been very much environmentally polluted over decades because we are the area where the ports of LA and Long Beach bring goods from the world into the rest of the nation through rail yards, through warehouses and things like that. I grew up in Long Beach, and I've dedicated a lot of my life to the environmental movement, as well as like my education in urban planning. And I work for a local government now, trying to do environmental projects in this area. It's disheartening to see what's happening in the community with the ICE raids, knowing that a lot of the immigrants that are being targeted are working class, like trying to do their job, trying to go to school, trying to go to and from like their daily jobs and their family. And so I'm disheartened by that, trying to protect my family and my friends. And I just want to say thanks to Green Latinos for, putting this on. I've been a member since 2021. Before that, I was like trying to host these like charlas y conexiones during COVID. And I helped Green Latinos like create a Slack channel. And so that was really cool. So now if y'all are in the Slack channel, that was like an effort that I helped start with those charlas y conexiones. And I just appreciate getting to know more Latinos that are interested in the environmental movement, because it totally is an intersectional movement. And I think there's no climate justice without social justice, racial justice, economic justice. I'm looking forward to connecting with all of you. And please, add me on LinkedIn. And if you're ever around, please reach out.
Thanks for sharing. Thanks for sharing. Paco, did you want to jump in?
I was just saying thank you, Natalie. and I wanted to encourage other people if they wanted to come off mute and just maybe share their feelings, maybe share a little bit about themselves. We're gonna go a little bit off script and allow people just to get to know each other a little bit better.
I can go first.
Yeah.
So my name is Jacqueline, but everybody calls me Jackie. But I've always been trying to get people to call me by my middle name, which is Marlene, but it has never stuck. And but I'm fine with Marlene or Jackie, and my pronouns are she and her. I live in Richmond, which is in the Bay Area, but I'm originally from San Diego. I have family in LA and in San Diego, and I work for an environmental nonprofit called Acterra. We're located in Palo Alto, but we work in all 9 counties of the Bay Area. And I posted on the chat that we'll be having a Miko workshop in Spanish on June 18th, and it'll be online. And anybody who lives in a county with Miko can attend the workshop. Miko is a new permit that allows people to sell food from their home, so they won't face fines. And we're also sharing resources on how they can get $3,000 to start their at-home food business. And I guess you asked the question of how we're feeling. Well, I've been feeling like really sad all weekend, stressed out for my family, like stressed out for my friends living in LA. And then just the thought of like, it doesn't matter if you're a US citizen or a legal resident, like ICE will still pick you up. So I'm like concerned for my family, which is like mixed status, and it's just really hard going into work and like having to do all your deliverables. And then I like I like I brought it up to my coworkers, like if anybody wanted to discuss what's going on, and like no one no one really wanted to say anything or meet up. So I'm like, okay. I'm in charge of our equity working group, so I like made space so people could talk, and I'm just feeling like just a little sad that nobody wanted to talk about what was going on. But I do have a colleague that is going to the protest on Saturday, which the Bay Area is having solidarity protests. And so that's how I'm feeling right now. I'm feeling a little sad, and but also proud of my community and proud of LA.
Yeah, thanks for naming all those things, Marlene. I think we're all feeling that. And yeah, I was just talking about this with the crew before we hopped on. Things feel really hot, like right now at this moment. And I think it's really valid to want to be able to like just chit chat with folks and like process feelings and all the things. And those spaces are so needed. And I think if you keep putting that energy out there, that like that's a space that you would benefit from, I think those spaces will come to fruition. But yeah, it's always like, I think at least what I've noticed is that every time like protests feel like really, really hot, it is like a huge depletion of energy. So I think once they like, I don't want to say subside, but like once it feels a little bit less hot, a little bit less demanding of everybody's energy, I think there's going to be a lot of people that want to revitalize energy by coming together, right? So yeah, I know that's something that's on my team's mind is like, hey, when is the moment to, I remember after the LA fires, we've hosted a couple of community resilience events just to bring folks together, to like gather donations and resources and also provide like sound baths and like things like that, just to like come together and hang out and drink tea together, process. So yeah, I'm sure that's something we're going to be thinking about as well. I don't know if you're in the LA area, but I would imagine that there are a lot of orgs all over the country thinking about how they can show up in that way in the coming weeks. Yeah. Would anyone else like to share? I'm also curious, you can continue to just share how you're feeling. I'm also curious if anyone has ever actually drawn their community care web or map or if anybody feels like they have like a really intimate understanding of who's in their community care web. Does anybody feel like they have a pretty good understanding of that? No. Does anybody?
Gonna
Oh.
talk about general stuff. My name is Emilia Smithies. I'm a sustainability analyst at Grupo Plastilina, which is a Colombian plastics manufacturing company. We're based out of Ohio. At least in the US. I'm from Mexico City. Actually, Francisco and I think are from the same area in Mexico City, if I remember correctly. Yeah, I think it's just been like really weird. The last couple of days, I think like seeing videos and seeing people that like look exactly and like speak exactly like everyone I know from back home being targeted is kind of just very surreal. Um, to me at least, like I don't really have a ton of family in the US. Most of my family is back home in Mexico, so to them it's more like a curiosity of like what is going on? What are you seeing anything? I think it's like it's a very weird thing of like you see everything online, you hear all these things when you're not in the US, so you assume that it's happening everywhere. And there's like kind of a disconnect there where I'm like, I personally, like in my neighborhood, I haven't seen anything. I can't speak of anything. I live in New York City, but the area that I live in is predominantly white. It's like Manhattan. Like, I haven't seen necessarily anything super dystopian, which like obviously is a privilege at this point, but um it is just very weird hearing all of this stuff and not seeing it and not understanding what is going on entirely, what is fear mongering, what isn't fear mongering, what things we should be careful about, what things we shouldn't be careful about. I think I'm in a very like privileged position because I look the way I look. I don't sound like I'm from Mexico, so I don't think I'm like very in danger. Mostly it's been like impotence of like I would like to do something. I've done interpreting like my whole like the last couple of years, especially for immigration cases. So if anybody knows of anyone who needs those services or needs like an organization who needs that, I'm very happy to lend a hand. I haven't been able to find anything in New York. I've sent applications and like nothing. I don't hear anything back. So that's been just frustrating for me because I want to be able to help in ways that I know I can. I'm not personally someone that like feels comfortable going to protest. That's just something Mexico City, we've had a lot of repression when it comes to like protesting. So I think I have a very my family was involved in a lot of those things, so I don't really like want to expose myself to that. I think like sometimes people glorify those things and I just um I'm all for it. I just don't personally think I can be involved in that way. Um so yeah, I think we all like need to do I kind of wish that I would see or know more about like community organizing in the way of food donations and like being there for people in those ways. I think I haven't necessarily seen a lot of that. Again, if somebody knows of anything, I'm very happy to pull up. But yeah, I think it's been very weird. I've been in the States for like I want to say 7 years at this point, and it's just gotten weirder and weirder as I've been here. So yeah.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. And I think it's really valid that, you've identified that attending the protest is not going to be one of the ways that you want to contribute. I think that, or maybe that you want to, but that you don't feel like confident to be able to do. And I think that's really valid. I mean, we are absolutely getting to a point where like even like unarmed press agents are getting hit by rubber bullets, right? So let alone like people who are holding signs or doing something else. So it's really valid to just identify that that's not where and how you'd like to show up. So if I may, I'd love to leave y'all with just a few more details about what a community map of resilience or community map of care, what it is, what it looks like. There's a lot of ways to describe it, but I could just share like some of my notes that I've personally been taking. My friends, well, I'll kind of save that, but yeah, what is a community care web? It's basically a really intimate network of people. And I want to underscore intimate because the moment it becomes like a huge Slack channel or a huge org or a huge thing, it kind of like defeats the purpose. So a community care web is usually a really intimate, like you and a few other people group chat. Usually you live in the same area, like maybe a few streets from each other, right? So that also kind of tackles the question of like, we got friends across town, but have we been willing to meet our neighbors, you know? So it's an intimate network of people with different resources and practices and skills that support each other in ways that are really aligned with like mutual aid, collective well-being, and just like shared responsibility, so that in times of stress, in times of like needed healing, or even like in times of celebration and joy, you know who your little squad is, right? Your team. I always think of like the Hawks and like squad, you know what I mean? Like that type of situation. So yeah, it's like an intimate crew. So that maybe for a little bit of homework, I'm curious, like, who are your top 5 people that like are within close proximity to you, and that you feel like all could coexist in some sort of mode of intimacy in that way. And what it does is it promotes more interdependence instead of independence. It's not hierarchical. There's no like leader. There's only just like expressing what you feel empowered to give and being vulnerable enough to ask for what you need. It is so therefore it's like completely decentralized. There's not really like usually an exchange of money because it's all based on like resources and skills. And I think examples of what that looks like, for me, for example, during moments like this, I usually will send a text to like my people that are within I'm probably in like a couple different informal, they're very informal, right? You're not like declaring that you have a community, you can, but they're very informal. I have like a couple group friends that feel comfortable in those little groups. So instead of like merging them together, I just know I've got a couple little like bubbles of friends and groups near me. And during like hot moments that feel a little wild, I will usually send a message out just to be like, hey, I'm from Texas. I'm used to the long drives. I have not been, what's it called? I haven't been like hit yet with like the lore of LA traffic. So I am willing to go pick you up at the protest, or I am willing to drive you to the airport. I am willing to, like that is a way. I love listening to music in my car. I will drive you wherever you need to go. If you need a ride, please do not spend $80 on Uber. That's a way that I feel empowered to show up. When people are sick, I am in my crew. I am the chefy friend. I will make you some really bomb like caldo, and I will bring it to you with no pressure to hang out. Like I will like literally Uber style drop it at your door. Y ya con eso. So yeah, I think just it's about identifying those people and just expressing like, hey, just so you know, here are some ways I feel empowered to show up for y'all should you ever need. And that's pretty much it. And it kind of just organically forms from there. So homework that if you're interested, I would assign would be identifying maybe 1 to 2 pockets, like 1 to 2 little squads that feel right? Like these are like tight people. They all feel cozy, comfy with each other. And what are those things that you like really reasonably find nourishment in and have bandwidth and capacity for generally? And just like re-emphasizing during moments where it feels right, just like, hey, just wanted to remind y'all that I'm down to show up for you in these ways. Hope you're taking care. And like, yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks for making space for that.
Good, Deandra. We at Green Latinos kinda wanna promote those spaces, those opportunities for connection, and that's kind of like my role for engagement. Well, we do it at a large scale, being national, but often people ask me who lives in my area, and I facilitate those names. And there's also, of course, the different platforms that we have established for all of you. So just really quickly through the slides, Tumia, if you can advance them. We have our community agreements, which is a little bit of our internal culture, which talks about this of making space, taking space, being authentic, and and of course, being confidential with information that we share. Let's go to the next slide. We facilitate those connections. We share tools. We share best practices. I mean, I think the endless examples of this circle was, to me, very inspiring, very new, and all of it is, of course, to balance that self-care. So some of us, like Emilia was saying, may be more comfortable with certain courses of action than others, but we all have a role, and we all have a niche that we can use our skills and our talents and our preferences. So go ahead to the next slide. And so that's what Green Latinos does in terms of, some of you are some of these labels, capacity builders or advocacy coordinators or conveners, and some of you are all of them. Some of you are part of it, some of you lean towards one or the other. And all of it is surrounded by love, hope, and a sense of belonging. I hope you understand that in our true Hispanic way, we're really a large family. In a way we feel, at least I feel like that. Let's go to the next slide. If you haven't been to the hub, please reach out to me. Marlene, I will make sure I post your event of this Mexico that you mentioned. But that's the main page of Green Latinos, and on the top right it says log in. Okay, thank you, Leandra. Let's go to the next slide. Thank you so much, Leandra, for the time. That's how you once you log in, that's your profile there. You can find jobs, or you can post jobs. You can, again, I will post the June 18th event there. And the forum is having a little bit of glitches, so please don't use the forum right now for discussion. But the resources page is very, very useful in terms of uploading reports or downloading stuff based on keyword searches. So this is all meant for all of you. Please take advantage of it. And let's go to the next slide. And I think Natalia mentioned the Slack channel that we've been working out. Oh, look, Natalie, you're on the screen save that I have there.
Yeah, I like the Slack channel. It definitely has all the information about events and stuff. So I mean, it's one of those things where I don't stay on top of my email inbox all the time. So we, once a week I'll scroll through the Slack channel and see what I missed.
Excellent. Excellent. So please use it. There's different avenues. Let's go to the next slide. And we also aggregate in different affinity groups. So these are our colectivos. If you need to sign on to a particular one, reach out to me and I'll make sure to connect you. Whether it's climate, whether it's communities, you don't have to choose one or the other. You can sign up for all four of them, but these are the main ones that we have: ocean and water equity and public lands. Actually, it's public lands and ocean, and then water equity. Those are the four. Let's go to the next one, please. The membership, as you all know, is free of charge, or you can donate at whatever amount you want. It's on an annual basis, and you can join Green Latinos as an individual or as an organization. We just the funds are used for, of course, our unrestricted expenses. Let's go to the next one. And the hub, which I shared some screens. Go ahead to the next one, please. It's just a way to, I call it the 4 C's: connect, collaborate, and contribute. We will be posting there opportunities for trainings, for fly-ins when they happen. Right now, we're not doing our national summit in person this year, but we do provide their updates on campaigns. You can promote your own. I'm working on a resume bank for people that are looking for specific jobs. I keep their resumes separately, not for public dissemination. But if I find a good connection to a role that you have told me that you're interested, we totally connect you there to a employee. And we also even sell merchandise in our tiendita. Oh, Actera has a virtual webinar. Okay. I will make note of that too. Let's go to the next slide, please. So we had this cafecito on June 5th in LA. Just passed, but we want to inform you of an upcoming webinar between Green Latinos and the Socially Responsible Agricultural Project. This is CAFOs are confined animal feeding operations. What that is causing on our food and the water systems. This is at 3:45 Central Time. For those that two people that were calling in from New York, there's a Westchester job fair on June 18th from 2 to 6 in White Plains, New York. And then our public lands also produce their own encuentros. They're doing one on the priorities in the federal environmental defunding. That's June 25th. That's by Green Latinos. That's promises to be very, very informative. And I want to hear back from you, maybe not right now with the time, but if anybody's planning to do anything with their organizations for Latino Conservation Week. Usually that happens in the summer, but this year it's going to be the second week of September. But if folks are doing and they want us to, again, magnify that opportunity or maybe even partner with people in your area, please feel free to send me those emails. Let's go to the next slide, please. So does anybody have any other announcements or any other updates? Anybody that hasn't spoken, feel free to do it. I'll be quiet and we can learn a little bit more about what your priorities are right now.
I guess I could just share. My name is Vero. I live in San Francisco, so I'm always telling people if you guys are ever in the Bay Area and want to check out your national park, hit me up. I work at the Presidio Trust. It's no entry fee, and you do a little tour. It's a beautiful urban national park, different from your regular Yosemite-looking national park. So, yeah.
Beto, how could you do that? Like if I were gonna go to San Francisco this year, like when you mean hit you up, what do you mean?
Send me an email. We can connect and I can give you a tour of the park. I work with community groups, so my job is to bring community groups, mostly like BIPOC or low income, anything in that bracket, LGBTQIA communities. And I teach them about the flora and the fauna and the history, the cultural history, and like the actual history of the Presidio. And you give a tour. That's 1,500 acres of park. So there's a lot to learn. There's a lot. We host events. We're actually having the Queer Women of Color Film Festival this weekend. So there's always something to do, always something to explore here. And yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Anybody else? Well, no, never.
I can introduce myself. My name is Jordan Gonzalez. I work with Mujeres de la Tierra. We're based in Cypress Park here in Los Angeles. We do a lot of like outdoor access, especially around like coastal access, and the Coastal Access Act, or the California Coastal Act, and people kind of trying to combat these ideas of different outdoor and green spaces as private. We also do some park redevelopment, and our kind of our core community listening. So our programs are really designed to be adaptive and to respond to the needs of the folks around us, whether that's leadership training and development, yeah, park kind of garden, community gardens, again, we'll just update different parks, like whether it's equipment or different types of greening. Yeah, it's been kind of a tough week. are like, I think a lot of like programmatic and work components have taken sort of a backseat to trying to respond immediately. Our office is right next to one of the Home Depots where ICE was active. And so working with like the park where our office is located to provide sanctuary and let people know that that's a space that they can come to, checking in with community members and our neighbors, just to see how they're feeling and what they need, and if they have been impacted. So there's just a lot of like, I think a lot of the media is focused on the protests, and the altercations between law enforcement and people. But I think that kind of lived reality of what happens after a raid in a community is really forefront and really something that we're kind of grappling with.
Yes, psychological impact, definitely. Thank you. Jordan, do you do any conservation easements, any land acquisition or access? No? Okay.
No, we don't really have the capital for that. We are really focused on like I guess like job title for it would be like engagement. We approach it as community listening. But so we're doing a lot more kind of liaising between neighbors and the public and agencies that are doing park development or have green spaces that we can bring our neighbors to.
Lynette, do you want to say anything quickly before everybody?
I do. Actually, I'm Lynette with Mujeres de la Tierra. I work with Jordan, and yeah, I mean, everything she said, but I just wanted to kind of add, just because we're in the neighborhood, all of us are, our whole team lives in LA. And I think times are changing right now, and we have to find different ways to be able to connect with like what is going on. Yes, there is a lot of focus on what's happening in the forefronts. And I went on, and I'm probably going to go again. I'm from LA. I've always, I'm born and raised here. I have an immigrant mom. And yeah, I believe going out there is something that we need to do. And I know we have our young ones, and that have a lot of zeal and don't know how to express that except through being destructive sometimes. But it also is going to take us, or the people that are out there too, to be able to be kind of brave enough and be able to say, this is like not the way. And I've already seen some videos about that's very encouraging for me. I do the communications on the social media, and then I have my personal ones, right? And I also have a poem IG too, but that's separate, because I do think that it is important to talk healing into your community, and how to express themselves and how to go about what we're about to take on, because it is about changing how we're living and what we're doing. And this is a time that maybe we have to stand up and have to do it in the best way possible. So I think it is important how we're communicating with our community at this point and what we want to put out there. And I don't know what the other organizations completely are doing, except for giving them a lot of information, right? Everyone about what to do right now or how to behave, but we don't have really control of them taking people. We don't have control of that. So we have to start to think about what we do have control of, what we can put out there, what direction are we leading it to? So, I mean, this is real time stuff that's happening. So I'm glad that we're able to see what other organizations are doing and how we could possibly help each other out.
Yeah. I again, I encourage everybody to please share your emails. Reach out to us when you have resources or events and questions. We may not have all the answers, but amongst our network, again, 1,474 members, somebody may have some expertise or something that they can share. Be it legal, be it healing, be it psychological, all of the different avenues. Sorry to cut it short. Gene, we didn't hear from you. Ramon, I've heard from you from Ohio pretty well, but welcome. And again, thank you all for your time and sign in again on the second Tuesday of the month. We will be here, but in the meantime, there's my phone and my email if anybody needs anything. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.